If I had a nickel for every time we pulled out Ashen Wake this past year, I'd have 2 nickels. I know, not a lot, which means we've been slacking big time. Today though, we're bringing back a classic build of ours called Balls of Fire, or in this case, Great Balls of Fire. Now, some things have definitely changed with this build with the launch of Lightfall, really flipping our entire mod system over, and it actually resulted in Balls of Fire getting even stronger, literally generating hundreds of orbs for you and your allies while decimating everything that it touches. Now, in today's build video, we're going to be showing you how to sling fireballs harder than any dress-wearing warlock. I know, everybody's crazy about Star Class, or even Sunbracers, but Titans, we've got the meanest fastball out there. Now, for this build, we want to make sure that we're using Soul Invictus and Roaring Flames. Now, with Soul Invictus, Soul ability Final Blows, Hammer Soul Impacts, and defeating Scorch targets will create sunspots. Your abilities will also regenerate faster, and your super drains more slowly while standing in a sunspot. Now, sunspots also apply Scorch. They deal damage to any targets inside of them, and on top of that, Sunspot also applies Restoration. The way Sunspot works with Solar 3.0 is that enemies running into and dying from your sunspots will spawn new sunspots because the game considers them to be ability kills. Now, Roaring Flames is our other aspect, and this allows you to ramp up ridiculous levels of damage for your abilities. Final Blows with solar abilities or ignitions increases the damage of your solar abilities, and this stacks up to 3 times. And any Titan who has ever used a bonk hammer knows just how crucial Roaring Flames is to our throwing hammer's damage. At Roaring Flames times 1, your ability damage increases by 20%. At times 2, it's 44%. And at times 3, it's 72% more damage with your fusion grenades and throwing hammers. Now, a change that Bungie made during Season the Haunted makes it so that while Roaring Flames is active, your uncharged melee attack deals solar damage and scorches targets. Now, this feeds right back into Soul Invictus, thus allowing you to apply Scorch and wombo combo enemies into spawning a sunspot upon death. Now, for our fragments, we have Ember of Torches, where power melee attacks against combatants makes you and nearby allies radiant, which is a 25% buff to all weapon damage, and it gives your weapons the ability to stun anti-barrier champions. We also have Ember of Solace, which causes radiant and restoration effects applied to you to have increased duration. Ember of Empyrean, where solar weapon or ability Final Blows extends the duration of restoration and radiant effects applied to you. And we also have Ember of Resolve, which is actually one of the new fragments added with Lightfall, where solar grenade Final Blows cure you. For higher end content, guys, Ember of Resolve is fantastic. Getting that burst of healing that your Empower Fusion Grenades gives you as you throw grenade after grenade will keep you alive. Now, can you use Ember of Searing, where defeating Scorched targets grants melee energy and creates a fire sprite? 1000%, guys. Combined with Solar Surge artifact perks that we have this season, which converts your fire sprites into armor charges, you literally will never run out of armor charge. At the same time, you're going to be making so many orbs of power with this build that you're literally going to be just fine. What Ember of Resolve gives you, though, that Searing can't, is that bump to survivability, which is what's so crucial when engaging the harder forms of Destiny content. Now, for our weapon of choice, we chose to go with Prometheus Lens. This bad baby has gotten much spicier this past season. Prometheus Lens comes with Flame Refraction, which states that kills of this weapon return a fraction of the ammo used to the magazine from reserves, extending the beam's duration. That is great for chaining one kill after another, but really not that helpful for this build. What we want, though, is the intrinsic trait Prismatic Inferno, which fires a solar trace beam that creates a field of heat energy that grows as the weapon is fired, and sustained damage applies Scorch to the target. Now, with Lightfall came an update to the Prometheus Lens Catalyst, granting the weapon incandescent, where defeating a target spreads Scorch to those nearby. And when you tag on Soul Invictus, where defeating Scorch targets creates sunspots, you have a sunspot making machine, literally burning through your enemies and scorching the earth here, guys. You walk into a room with this puppy and literally melt everything. But Cross, what about Sunshot? Actually, you can slot out Prometheus Lens for Sunshot, which 100% works here. You can also slot it out for Polaris Lance, which we recently did a build on, or even Skyburner's Oath, Mine and Mini Tool, hell, even Judgment of Kel'Garath with Incandescent. The list goes on. All of these work, but the one weapon we found that worked the best here was Prometheus Lens, primarily because it's a special weapon and it's doing a decent amount of damage, being a trace rifle. Second, it stacks Scorch very easily, and with that spread of Scorch, you're forming sunspots, which is applying even more Scorch. It's a relentless cycle with this weapon. So again, you can use other exotics, even other legendaries, but for us and this specific build, Prometheus Lens works the best. Now let's talk about the elephant-sized shoulder pads in this room. That's right, I'm talking about Ashen Wake. Jesus, Bungie, I need an ornament, man. Now with Ashen Wake, you get the exotic armor perk Bring the Heat, where fusion grenades now explode on impact and gain increased throw speed. It's basically fastball, but intrinsic. And Final Blows with fusion grenades grant grenade energy. Now, if you kill a single red bar, that refunds you about 25% of your grenade back. If you kill a yellow bar, you get 50% of your grenade back. And mini balls are a boss, you got a free fusion grenade. That hasn't changed. But what has changed is the sheer amount of ability energy you'll be getting thanks to the revamped mod system. With the new mod system and this build, you'll be bringing the heat constantly, especially when we start tying things into our artifact perks. The beautiful thing about this build though is you really don't need specific artifact perks to make it work, as it should stand the test of time. But you 100% want to grab both authorized mods solar and authorized mods grenade perks. Now, while not necessary to this build, we also found that there are a lot of solar shields this season, so grabbing Shadow Orbs perk is not a bad choice either. Shadow Orbs makes it so that your first time that you break a combatant shield, you create an orb of power if you break a shield with the matching damage type. So fusion grenades for solar shields, instant orbs, and that's whether you get the kill or not. And this works with your weapons as well. So if you happen to be rocking a void weapon and you're going up against void shields, this can also create lots of orbs. You can rock a commemoration with volatile flow against void shields and bricks from beyond. Again, I don't want to get too far off here off of this build, but there's lots of flexibility here. Now let's talk our armor mods. In your helmets, we've got special ammo finder to keep Prometheus lens topped off. We also have solar siphon mods so that 2 rapid kills with Prometheus lens will generate an orb of power. We also have Ash's assets, which converts grenade kills directly into super energy. Now feel free to swap things out, guys. If you need to sub out solar siphon and special ammo finder to fit whatever situation you're in, by all means go right ahead. You can even rock things like triple Ash's assets, completely up to you. Now in our gloves, we have 1 firepower mod to generate an orb for each kill that we get with our fusion grenades. We also have heavy handed so that each throwing hammer kill will also generate an orb of power. And we also have grenade kickstart, which consumes armor charges to generate tons of grenade energy whenever your grenade energy is fully expended. Now for our chest, we have 2 charge up mods, so we can hold a total of 5 armor charges at a time. You can also add a solar reserve mod from Prometheus lens or a resist mod depending on what activity you're going in. For our boots, we have innervation, which reduces our grenade cooldown every time we pick up orbs, stacks on stacks, so that each orb grants 2 armor charges instead of just 1, and your choice of either recuperation, which grants us health, or better already, which begins health regeneration. Considering the sheer amount of orbs that you're gonna have on the ground, guys, I prefer recuperation here. Now in our class item, we have Reaper, so that our next weapon kill will spawn an orb of power, as well as 2 bomber mods so that we get even more grenade energy when we use our class ability. Now like always, having high resilience, if not max, is very much key, both for the sheer survivability and to pop a barricade as often as you can. The rest of your points really need to be going into things like discipline and recovery. Again, you're going to be getting your grenade back pretty much instantly, but just in case you don't, having high discipline will help top things back off. Now for the gameplay loop. Guys, it's so simple. Even the most crayon-eating titan can perform this build. You start up by ramping to Roaring Flames ×3 as quickly as you can. Now, honestly, the easiest way to do this is with your throwing hammer, which gets progressively deadlier with each throw. It also grants you radiant on hits and cures you when you pick up your hammer. Now, each kill, thanks to heavy-handed, will also be generating orbs of power, which can be picked up right away and converted into armor charges for grenade kickstart. Now, these ability kills will also generate sunspots to step in, which will grant you a stack of restoration. Part 2 is survivability in this build. Now, once you've got Roaring Flames at max, radiant and restoration coursing through your veins, it's time to start throwing those fusion nades. Now, you should be getting your grenade back in seconds, if not instantly, from 2 or more kills at a time. And thanks to Ember of Solace, we get a nice health bump at the same time as a fusion grenade kill, as well as an orb of power from our firepower mod. Now, if you break a solar shield while you're doing this, you'll also be generating orbs from shattering them with the same damage type. This is huge against things like Taken Knights, Taken Vandals, Shadow Legion Centurions, who all have solar shields. Every shield pop is an orb of power, thus feeding your supers very easily. And if this wasn't enough, each time you kill an enemy with a grenade or your throwing hammer, it's creating a sunspot, which grants you restoration ×1 and ups your grenade recharge rate while standing in it, and applying Scorch to any enemies that step in these sunspots. By the way, if sunspots actually land a kill, this refreshes both radiant and restoration. Sunspot kills count as ability kills for Ember of Empyrean. Now, if you run out of grenade energy for some reason, you have your rally barricade that you can just pop, which should grant you your grenade back. You can also get throwing hammer kills to generate some orbs and take advantage of innovation, and the cycle will continue. So that's it, guys. That's the build. Prometheus Lens is definitely more potent this season. We've actually made a Warlock build for it, and Great Balls of Fire just keeps on getting greater. So guys, if you're interested in this build, a link will be down below, so try it out for yourselves. Well, fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
Slap that like button like your mama told you right.